YouTube.
Schönen guten Nachmittag, herzlich willkommen. Mein Name ist Nadine Jessen und ich möchte Sie hier auf Kampnagel begrüßen zu unserem Livestream von der Veranstaltung New Neighbours. Wir beginnen mit einer Projektpräsentation in deutscher Sprache und anschließend gibt es noch eine Ausgabe von Let's Get Critical mit Larry Macaulay in englischer Sprache. Und ja, wir freuen uns sehr, dass Sie alle mit live dabei sind und I pass the mic on, the word to Mr. Larry Macaulay. Viel Vergnügen und einen schönen...
Welcome. Thank you, Nadine, for the intro. Greetings, welcome. My name is Larry Macaulay. I welcome you to this New Neighbor project presentation, film screening, and discussion panel. I have quite a guest here from all the way from Indonesia to Syria to Germany and also to Nigeria, and we'll be discussing for the next in the next hour on topical issues affecting us as new neighbors in our new society in Europe and in Germany. The first segment, I would like to introduce my colleague who will present the New Neighbors project, Nadia Biladi, project manager, also a media consultant, community media consultant, also one of the project coordinators of New Neighbors in Europe. So Nadia, you are free to take up the platform.
Hi everyone, you're in the dark, I'm in the broad sunlight all of a sudden. Sorry, I will try to sit in a better position in a minute. It would have been great to be there at Kampnagel. I think that's what all of us feel like. And Larry asked me to speak in German. Is that correct? Also sollte ich ab jetzt die Präsentation auf Deutsch machen. Ist das so, Larry, gewünscht?
Ja. It's okay.
Also, wunderbar. Ich entschuldige mich schon, weil es ist, glaube ich, das erste Mal, dass ich das Projekt auf Deutsch vorstelle und vielleicht, ja, ist das alles nicht so fließend, aber ich würde als erstes diese kurze 1 Minute Trailer zeigen. Ich glaube, das ist der beste Einstieg. Und wir haben es vorhin getestet. Ich versuche es gleich. Voilà. Also. Und los.
Why do you drink orange juice? This isn't German pop.
Esta pared, justamente, es una pared muy fina.
Tu mi insegni inglese? Va bene.
Also Flüchtling. Ja.
Non lo so come si chiama.
Biti su naši ljudi, bitan je naš kvart, mi imamo stotine problema u našem kvartu.
Pa onda su i ja.
Možeš u jediničku češki jezik?
Bravo. Het lijkt dat er steeds meer komen.
Znači, Putin je to najljepše rekao, ne? Došli si u Rusiju, ponaša se kao Rus.
Ja ne možu pustiti.
Meine Zukunft? Ich habe keine Ahnung.
Ja, ich hoffe, das hat geklappt. Ich werde eben das Projekt jetzt zusammenfassen. New Neighbours ist ein Projekt mit verschiedenen Leuten, die zusammenarbeiten, um gegen Rassismus und um eine gerechtere Gesellschaft voranzubringen. Das ist das Ziel. Und wir haben das Projekt Anfang 2019 gestartet Wir sind eine Gruppe von verschiedenen Organisationen und wir möchten, wie gesagt, also durch Medien, öffentlich-rechtlichen, Community-Medien und natürlich auch Social Media mehr Akzeptanz fördern für Migrantinnen in EU-Mitgliedstaaten und auch gegen Rassismus zu kämpfen. Und New Neighbours also der Name hat eine Geschichte, weil es gab schon eine Serie von Filmen, die so geheißen hat, und wir haben dann den Namen für das Gesamtprojekt übernommen. Aber wir machen manchmal auch ein bisschen Witze darüber, weil wir sagen, ja, New Neighbours werden oft auch als solche wahrgenommen, die eigentlich schon ihr ganzes Leben oder seit mehreren Generationen irgendwo in Europa leben und sind. Und einfach, ja, das ist ihr Zuhause, aber irgendwie werden sie immer noch gefragt, woher kommst du? Und genau um diese ganzen Stereotype, Vorurteile und so weiter aus dem Weg zu schaffen, haben wir in diesem Projekt mit verschiedenen Medien gearbeitet und versucht, eben durch die direkte Partizipation von Menschen, die solche Erfahrungen haben, auch neue Inhalte und einfach einen anderen Diskurs voranzubringen. Das Projekt, wie gesagt, also das geht seit fast 2 Jahren und findet in 9 verschiedenen Ländern statt. Kroatien, Deutschland, die Tschechische Republik, Niederlande, Italien, Slowenien, Belgien, Spanien und Portugal. Das sind auch die Länder, wo die Dokumentarfilme produziert wurden. Und genau, also welche Organisationen sind im Projekt beteiligt? Die Gesamtkoordination wird von der EBU gemacht. Das ist die Vereinigung der öffentlich-rechtlichen Medien in Europa. Und sie haben die Koordination für die Produktion der Dokumentarfilme übernommen, die von diesen 9 öffentlich-rechtlichen Rundfunk-, also Fernsehanstalten dann auch ausgestrahlt worden sind. Ich bin im Projekt im Auftrag von CMFI, das ist dieser Community-Medien-Formate Europe, es ist eine internationale NGO, die freie Community-Medien vertritt. Und was wir gemacht haben im Projekt war, den internationalen Austausch zu fördern, weil in den freien Radios, in den Community-Radios und Fernseher arbeiten seit immer, also seit Jahrzehnten, sehr viele Migrantinnen und Geflüchteten. Es gibt aber leider viel zu wenige Möglichkeiten, diese Erfahrungen auszutauschen, sei es auf nationaler Ebene, aber umso mehr auf internationaler Ebene. Und das Projekt hat uns die Möglichkeit gegeben, Leute einzuladen, zum Beispiel und vor allem also nach Deutschland und nach Österreich, wo die Migrantenredaktionen sehr stark sind und sehr gut bereits vorangekommen sind. Und die haben eben als Experten und Mentors Leute aus anderen Ländern eingeladen, um ihnen zu zeigen, wie sie das machen, also wie sie ihre Sendungen produzieren und die Mehrsprachigkeit und die interkulturellen Themen dort integrieren. Und das Ziel für CMFI war und ist, also in 3 Ländern, wo Community-Medien und Migranten noch nicht also so präsent sind, neue Produktionen zu unterstützen. Und die 3 Länder, die wir dann ausgewählt sind, waren Italien, Spanien und Slowenien. Und dort eben haben Trainings stattgefunden. Larry war auch einer der Trainer, der da mitgemacht hat. Und wir sind natürlich ja sehr gespannt dann auf die neuen Sendungen, die daraus hoffentlich entstehen werden. Noch kurz zu den anderen Partners, also MDI, das Media Diversity Institute in England. Sie haben in diesem Projekt vor allem Advocacy-Kampagnen von NGOs unterstützt, damit vor allem via Social Media und andere Kanäle auch dort also einen anderen Diskurs und andere Geschichten, wo Migranten und Geflüchteten ihre eigenen Stories bringen und ihre eigene Meinung vertreten können, auch also mehr Sichtbarkeit erhalten können. Dann COSPE. COSPE ist eine italienische NGO, die seit, glaube ich, Anfang der 80er Jahre sehr viele Kooperationsprojekte weltweit gemacht hat. Und sie waren eine der ersten, die sich mit dem Thema Medien und Migration auseinandergesetzt haben. Und in diesem Projekt sind sie für die Projektwebsite zuständig, sowie für diese Treffen, also das von heute auch, also die nationale Treffen und Konferenzen. Und last but not least, Commit, das ist das Community-Medien-Trainings-Institut. Es ist ein Mitglied von CMFI. Sie sind in Wien tätig und auch also in Europa. Sie machen sehr viel Aus- und Weiterbildung für Community-Medien. Und im Projekt haben sie eine Reihe von Forschungspapiere zu Medien und Migration koordiniert, sowie Interviews und dann Fokusgruppengespräche koordiniert für eine Evaluation auch vom Projekt und von den Outputs vom Projekt. Und was sind die Ergebnisse bis jetzt? Das Projekt ist auch, also es geht gegen das Ende vom Projekt, also wir mussten es verlängern wegen Covid-19. Wir haben also noch ein paar Monate, aber die Filme, also die neuen Dokumentarfilme von den öffentlich-rechtlichen Sendern, die gibt es bereits, die sind auf der Webseite von Neighbours frei verfügbar, also man darf sie anschauen und weiter senden, verlinken und genau, heute wird dann eine von diesen Filmen von Deutsche Welle im Mittelpunkt stehen. Dann hat es 4 NGO-Kampagnen gegeben, die eben von Media Diversity Institute koordiniert wurden. Eine, das ist nur ein Beispiel, das ist aus Kroatien vom Center for Peace Studies. Sie haben auf YouTube eine Serie von Videos produziert und veröffentlicht, die unter diesem Slogan We Live Here Geschichten von Menschen, die in Kroatien leben und arbeiten und die ursprünglich aus anderen Ländern gekommen sind, aus den verschiedensten Gründen. Viele von ihnen also haben eben Fluchtgeschichten und dann gibt es diese Faktenblätter und Expertinnen-Interviews zu Medien und Migration. Die sind auch auf der Webseite, die sind auf Englisch. Die konnten wir bis jetzt nur teilweise übersetzen, aber die sind auch also gute Tools, wenn man eben nach Daten und Statistiken sucht, weil oft also wird immer noch behauptet, ja, aber das Ganze, das ist eigentlich gar kein Problem und wie kannst du beweisen, dass es zu Diskriminierungen kommt und in diese Dokumenten eben haben wir versucht, eben aus diesen, wir konnten das nicht in alle 9 Länder machen, wir hatten eben auch ja, nicht genug Ressourcen dafür, aber wenigstens eben aus den 6 Ländern, wo es diese Datenblätter gibt, kann man sich darauf beziehen und um eben in der eigenen Arbeit dann auch zu argumentieren. Dann natürlich ja die nationale Treffen und Fokusgruppen und was die Community Media betrifft, wir eben arbeiten mit diesen 3 Partners. In Spanien ist es das Radio und Community Radio und Fernseher in Cardedeu. Das ist eine kleine Stadt Das Radio und Fernseher gibt es seit über 40 Jahren, aber bis jetzt waren Migrantinnen dort kaum tätig. Und durch New Neighbours haben sie jetzt angefangen, dort auch also mehrsprachige Sendungen, vor allem auch mit sehr viele junge Leute, die eigentlich in Katalonien fast ihr ganzes Leben gelebt haben, aber trotzdem mehrere Sprachen und auch andere Hintergründe haben. In Italien ist es eine Stiftung, die sich für interkulturelle Arbeit in Reggio Emilia engagiert. Reggio Emilia ist in Italien eine der Städte mit den meisten Migranten. Also es gibt, glaube ich, mehr als 80 Nationalitäten in dieser kleinen Stadt. Und dort eben sollte auch eine Radiosendung entstehen, wo verschiedene Stimmen, die die Stadt prägen, auch endlich hörbar werden. Und in Slowenien arbeiten wir mit Radio Student. Das ist einer der ältesten Community-Radios in Europa. Die gibt es schon seit 50 Jahren und sind an der Uni verankert in Ljubljana. Aber da sind bis jetzt auch also eher wenige Migranten im Radio aktiv gewesen. Und durch das Projekt hoffen wir, dass sie jetzt einen neuen Start und einen neuen Weg auch nehmen konnten. Genau, also das war es eigentlich also zum Gesamtprojekt. Also das Projekt ist von der EU finanziert und wird auch also zusätzlich von Voice of America mitfinanziert. Und wir sind den Sponsoren wie immer sehr dankbar, vor allem für kleine NGOs wie CMFI. Ist es nicht einfach, bei solchen Projekten dabei zu sein, und wir versuchen immer das Beste daraus zu machen, damit am Schluss auch etwas bleibt und diese Erfahrungen auch sichtbar werden. Was ich persönlich sehr spannend fand, war auch eben dieser Austausch zwischen den Partners und dass eben Community-Medien, freie Radios auch mehr wahrgenommen werden, auch von sogenannten professionellen Medien, die uns oft nicht wirklich ernst nehmen, wenn ich das so sagen darf. Aber eben, es ist auch dort eine interkulturelle Begegnung. Also wir sind sehr verschieden, wir können aber trotzdem viel voneinander lernen, finde ich. Und ich hoffe, dass es vielleicht auch später noch Möglichkeiten geben wird für eine Fortsetzung des Projektes. Und ganz am Schluss werde ich euch eben nur diese 2 Minuten vom Treffen in Siena vor einem Jahr, wo sich verschiedene Community-Media-Leute treffen konnten. Und ich bin noch da, falls dann Fragen sind, auch später im Verlauf des Treffens. Und genau, also danke wie immer an die Sponsoren. Das muss man immer so machen.
Thank you very much, Nadia.
I will leave you with the 2 minutes of the video, if you allow me.
Okay, then.
So,
okay. Yeah, you can do that.
So, voila. Not this one, but...
Yeah, that was...
Do you see the octo?
Yeah, we see it.
We are here as part of a European Union-funded project called New Neighbours that aims to change perspectives on the lives of migrants and refugees in Europe. And we brought together around 15 media makers from community media because they do a lot of work in promoting a different narrative, promoting the direct voices of people with a migrant background in society. We think it's important that people that do this kind of work have the chance to meet, to network and empower one another, and hopefully also strengthen the level of input that they can give into the debate?
I think that it was really enlightening because I feel inspired by all the different projects that are happening and the fact that people have so many different backgrounds. But I really loved listening to what everyone is doing and the amazing things that they're already achieving. And obviously I'm a goal-setting obsessed, so I really like also helping and sharing what I know about having a goal and reaching it.
The idea came because refugees are always being portrayed either as victims or as criminals in mainstream media. So people talk about the refugee, but not with them. People don't take their opinion, their perspectives. And the idea is like, it's important that we don't talk about refugees as being a group. Like this is also, refugees. So people are more than just refugees. Being a refugee just means that someone has left their country because of several reasons and went to another country, but it is a part of their story. But they are much more than just refugees.
I have read. So that was it from me. I will share the link to the full video in the chat in case some of you want to watch the whole thing later, and I'll be here for questions and so on. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, Nadia, thank you very much for joining us all the way from Switzerland, So,
well, not so exotic, but I'm Italian, but yeah, I ended up moving here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And my next guest is Bettina Klopp. Bettina is a commissioning editor and filmmaker documentaries for the Deutsche Welle. She's one of the people that made this film that will be presented on this platform today. So I have Bettina. Are you there with us all the way from Berlin?
Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you, Bettina. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Larry, for inviting me. Should I talk in English or in German?
In German, please.
Okay, sehr gern.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Ja, genau, Deutsche Welle, wie Nadia schon erwähnt hat, ist einer der neuen Sender, öffentlich-rechtliches Fernsehen, die gebeten wurden, einen Dokumentarfilm für das Neighbours-Projekt zu drehen. Und wir sind ein Sender, der eigentlich weltweit empfangbar ist, also Deutschlands internationaler Sender, fanden es aber trotzdem sehr toll, dieses Projekt mitmachen zu können, weil wir uns natürlich auch sehr stark mit dem Thema Migration, Flucht beschäftigen. Haben dann aber festgestellt, es ist gar nicht so leicht, eine Geschichte in diesem Rahmen zu finden, wo sozusagen Leute offen über die Probleme mit ihren neuen Nachbarn sprechen wollen. Also natürlich gibt es das ganz oft, dass Menschen es nicht so toll finden, wenn Menschen aus anderen Kulturen in ihre Nachbarschaft ziehen, und es gibt diese Streitigkeiten und Schwierigkeiten, aber wirklich dann Leute zu finden, die das auch zugeben vor der Kamera, war sehr schwer. Und die Regisseurin Dasha, die später auch auf dem Panel sitzen wird, hat dann eine wirklich sehr rührende Geschichte gefunden von einer über 90 Jahre alten Dame, die also in Deutschland der NS-Zeit groß wurde und selbst auch im Bund Deutscher Mädels war, also in der Vereinigung der jungen Frauen im Naziregime, also sowas wie die Hitlerjugend, nur für die Frauen, Mädchen. Und hier zog dann ein Geflüchteter aus Syrien am Meer, Mitte 20, und die beiden lebten zusammen. Das ist nämlich auch sehr traurig, denn Eva ist im Frühjahr verstorben an Covid-19. Also die alte Dame im Film ist leider Gottes nicht mehr unter uns. Deswegen ist der Film auch nochmal eine sehr schöne Erinnerung an sie, weil sie eine ganz, ganz tolle Frau war, mit einem ganz großen, offenen Herzen und ja, also für Amer dann sowas wie eine Oma in Deutschland war, die sich auch um ihn gekümmert hat und ihm da ein richtiges familiäres Zuhause gegeben hat. Und jetzt klingt das alles so positiv, aber es gibt natürlich oder gab dort auch Schwierigkeiten, denn gegenüber der Wohnung, wo die beiden zusammen lebten, ist eine Kneipe, so eine typisch deutsche Eckkneipe. Und also die Menschen, die dorthin gehen, leben halt ganz lange schon im Kiez, also in dieser Berliner Nachbarschaft, und sind sehr zurückhaltend oder manche auch negativ eingestellt gegenüber Geflüchteten. Und Amea wollte immer gerne in diese Kneipe gehen, hat sich aber lange nicht so richtig dahin getraut. Und ja, also im Film sieht man dann, wie diese Begegnung zwischen den alteingesessenen Berlinern in dieser Kneipe und Amea dann verläuft. Ich will jetzt eigentlich gar nicht so wahnsinnig viel über den Film verraten. Vielleicht habt ihr von eurer Seite noch Fragen, bevor ich hier schon die ganze Geschichte erzähle.
Okay. Thank you, Bettina. And can we have the film now, the film screening, Across the Road, Worlds Apart?
Viel Spaß dabei.
Okay, well. Welcome back from that long filming. And in the next few minutes, we will switch on to the Casbah. The Let's Get Critical series created by myself and a colleague of mine. We will be going in depth into the discussion of migration, integration, and how to move forward. I have from my left to my right. Would you guys like to introduce yourself, or I do it on your behalf? Which one do you prefer? Okay, just to make it super quick, I have Judith Rao. She's a co-founder of New Media Socialism. She's the only woman with us on the podium here. We have two other women who will join us online via Zoom. And she was one of the producers and directors of Hello Dutchland, a docu-series that was produced some few years ago. And I also have my very good friend, Mula Gracio Manalu, a musician, member of the Mirage Band and Toffee Hamburg. Mula will tell us a little bit about what he does and how he does it later on. Mula, thanks for joining us. And on my right, from this side, I have, of course, my good friend Anas Habura, all the way from Damascus, Syria, the Damascus man. Great guy who has always been here for a long time. He's a curator, a cultural activist with immense pool of knowledge and on the coming up next year. We had to shift it because of COVID-19 this year. So you are all welcome to the Let's Get Critical platform. And we go into the details. I have two guests who will join us on Zoom. Are they ready with us? Are the guests ready on Zoom? I have Niyama Jadama. Nima is a Gambian citizen living here in Berlin in Germany. She's been here for quite a while, for 4 to 5 years. She's working with Alex Berlin, the Alex Open Center in Berlin. And I also have Dasa. Dasa is one of the co-producers and directors of the film you just finished watching. She's an independent filmmaker, and she also does documentary series for Deutsche Welle. So thank you all for all joining us. We can't see the people on the stream, unfortunately, but I think they can see us, and the viewers at home on YouTube can also see us. Nima, you're live on air, and so is Dasa here with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you very much. And
I'm sorry, I'm in the car because I didn't get far. Sorry, but I'm here.
Okay, I can see you. And we also have Sophie Barton. Is Sophie online?
Yes, hi everyone.
Hi. So Sophie is online. Sophie is one of the co-founders and directors at Migration Matters, an NGO based in Berlin. She's also a dual German citizen with a pool of experience. She's an Harvard graduate, for crying out loud. So I have an Harvard graduate on my platform for the first time. Thanks, Sophia, for joining us on this platform. You're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get critical, all of you. I think I will start the conversation with Dasa, because Dasa is very critical for me to understand the concept behind the story. A 94-year-old woman, former Nazi, and living with a new neighbor, a Syrian refugee, in Germany, in the movie, across the road, worlds apart. Can you tell us, can you share with us how the story came about and why it is important?
Yes, hi, Dasha, it's my correct name. You did it very well. Should I speak in English or German? Sorry,
in English, on this platform.
English?
It's in English, yeah.
Okay, in English. So as Bettina introduced the film, I don't know how many were online at that point. We joined, as Deutsche Welle, part of the series. Then the new Neighbours had a certain concept, as the name says. The new arrivals, I would say, or new people coming from different countries to Germany, to live in Germany, were supposed to meet old neighbors. And old neighbors means people who are originally German, I would say, even though I don't like all this distinction, but this is what the concept was. And we were supposed to find the story, and best if they don't like each other, and best if they would like to share all of this on the camera, and there is some change at the end. So it's quite a difficult task, I would say, because there is obviously a lot of problem between neighbors and a lot of problems in neighborhoods, but refugees generally have a lot to cope with on daily basis, and they do not want to stir up more problems by being filmed and their neighbors and so on. So it's kind of hard to get somebody on camera and really follow some kind of conflict, not as a news person, but as a documentary filmmaker, which means over a longer period of time. So we were searching. The search was very long, and at the end, Amer, the main protagonist, got an email. We got an email from him because he knew somebody we knew, and so on and so on. And he told us that he lives with this old lady, and we just like, okay. And then he told us that she wrote a book about the Nazi time. And then it was started to be all very interesting. And before that, we didn't know that there was this pub opposite where they live. So I went to just see them and found the couple very interesting because obviously Germany has a very difficult history. And there is not many people who are alive, like Eva Sternheinz-Peters, who unfortunately also passed away, as Bettina mentioned, on Corona in April. And she talks about this time very openly and very honestly. And this is very important that she addresses the things with the right names. But she also saying that she was always interested in the social aspect, and that she never wanted to harm somebody. Okay. And so since 60s, she's accommodating people in her house. She shares her flat with people coming from all over the world, mainly because she had a spare room and wanted to earn some money on the side. But then she became much more to them. No, she was helping them with visa application, with study application, with all kinds of stuff. So she became kind of the mother to all the people passing through her apartment. And so Amer arrived there as well. And this is the longest guest she had because he was almost there for 2.5 years. Okay. So, and just to say, then when we went there, we found this, I was seeing this pub and so okay, I don't know which people go there, but I don't think it's that open-minded. And so I went there and spent some time there and started to talk to the people. And yeah, this is what you've seen now. So this was like an extra element to it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dasha, and for that explanation on how the story, because many of us watched the piece. Some of us were comfortable with it, some of us were not. And but it's very interesting that we had people German of that background, because the ugly scenes that happened during the Nazi period, and fast forward decades later, years later, we also had people open their doors to newcomers in Germany. I actually had an experience like that in 2014 when I came to Hamburg. Some refugees didn't know how to navigate between all Europeans or all Germans. So everybody that walked up to them was a friend. And when I came, I had an experience of some groups having meetings even with neo-Nazi groups. But they didn't know who they were because they perceived everybody as white and helpful. Because the perception is all white people. That's what has been fed into the system, into the people through colonialism, that they are the solution to all the problems of the migrants. So that is why we came in and start changing that through narratives and through making them aware that, that's not the way it is. You need to see the bigger picture. So I will get back to you later on, and I would like to expand the discussion to my guests here, left and right. Judith, I will start with you. Judith, you are a co-founder of the New Media Socialism. First of all, tell us what New Media Socialism is. What is it? Explain to us in a brief, in a nutshell.
Yeah. I try in English. I'm sorry if I don't find the right words.
Yeah, okay.
Not so much used, but yeah, I tried. I'm part of New Media Socialism. It's mainly Nadine Jessen and I. Nadine is a director, curator, dramaturg in Kampnagel, where I met her too, like a few years ago. And she asked me to be part of a project which is called Hello Deutschland, die Einwanderer, where you are also part of, and Anna's too. And that was our first time where we worked together on a bigger project. And during that period of starting the project, I don't know if you founded it. It just happened that we found the name New Media Socialism. Nadine found the name. I'm a visual artist, and it appeared that we can work very well together, and that Nadine's ideas and concepts. Hello Deutschland was already a concept that she did, I think 2 years before or 1 year before, I don't remember, when we started 2017, and then I started to film. We are very do it quite simple, I would say. We have very small equipment in filming, and our group of people, or our team, is a team of people who were fleeing their countries, of people who are living here for a longer time, of people who are also Germans. So it's a mixed group of people that met mostly in Migrantpolitan here in Kampnagel. And also all the stories that develop are kind of, many of them are spontaneous situations that develop and that Nadine tries to bring in a storyline. Okay. I hope that was clear.
That's clear, actually. But you had the opportunity to work with newcomers in Germany. The Eritreans, for example, you brought them into the picture. I'm here, Anas from Syria was here also. How was the experience? How did you feel working with these new groups from a diverse background?
Yeah, it's maybe interesting because I didn't meet the people as artists, as Nadine does, because she's working in a theater, so she meets anyway a lot of people from all over the world who are dancers, artists. And 2015, I started to work as a teacher, because I needed money. And I'm not a trained German teacher. And when a lot of migrants came 2015, the system was not ready to provide many teachers. So they asked students, I'm a speech therapist, also trained speech therapist. So I could do that, but of course I was also kind of overwhelmed with the situation. And that was my kind of introduction in this field. So I met a lot of people there. I also met Anas there. I met him here and in the school. So that was my first time I got in contact with the field, with the subject.
So what was the experience like? The first contact or experience? How was it? Interesting, educating, informating? Did you learn something from them?
I definitely learned something. It was, by that time, a huge chaos in the system. And that was my first impression that I had, that I was overwhelmed, people were overwhelmed, and we had to find a way to get started. And there were a lot of people who were already experts in setting something up, in finding quick solutions, like Anas I met, and he also took part in the big conference that was really kind of also half self-made conference, and I thought that was self-organized, and I thought these were definitely hard times for a lot of people, but also times where a lot of things were possible. And during the next months and years until now, it got more restricted, I would say, from the official part, like in the schools. I'm not teaching anymore.
We'll talk about
that. But so I think this very first moment of self-organization, that was a very inspiring moment. I wouldn't say it was a good time. For many people, it was not a good time. It's a very, very hard time. But
during the filming, during the storyline, this spontaneous storyline in Hello Deutschland, you had an encounter with having a Eritrean coffee. What was that about? You, in one of the series, I saw you went to visit them and they gave you coffee.
Yeah, we always had these small cameras, which allowed us to go quite close, and also they are not so frightening to the people that are not used to cameras, to have a camera in their houses. So we were invited by a friend, an Eritrean friend, Yassin, to come to his house. So he showed us his house was a container from the city that he had to share with another man. And he took us to a friend in another container next to his container, and where his friend Fishale and his wife Aster were having a coffee ceremony. And we were allowed to join, and we got 3 very nice coffees, and we could join the ceremony.
That was the first time with the Eritrean coffee, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thanks a lot, Judith, for giving an insight into that.
Yeah, you can see the Hello Deutschland series on YouTube. Just Google Hello Deutschland, Die Einwanderer on YouTube, and we have 10 episodes.
We'll put the link into the
Thank you.
Into the YouTube. Thanks a lot. Now, I go back to my online guest via Zoom, Sophia Bolton. Can you tell us a little bit about, Sophia, are you there? Okay, I can see you. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about Migration Matters, your organization? What's it all about, in a nutshell?
Sure. So Migration Matters, I co-founded the organization with 3 other women back at the end of 2015. And basically our goal is to bring more nuance and evidence about migration, refugee, and diversity issues to the public in order to encourage more nuanced discussions and kind of moving beyond a pro and con framework. And so the way we do this is primarily through bite-sized video. So we create videos and series with different experts in the field, researchers, professors, but also practitioners. We also interview people on the streets. In the last 4-ish years, we've produced over 120 videos on different topics like integration and diversity, nationalism, most recently climate change and migration. And really what we tried not to do is kind of myth bust or use these like killer facts and try to say this is like the one way you should think about migration, but rather offer people more complicated arguments, or because the arguments are really complex and a lot of times these issues aren't pro or con. And so we try to look for arguments that aren't really talked about in media and in politics. For instance, if we look at the topic of integration, a lot of people think of it just as like a cultural thing. So we talk about what are the different facets to integration. And also, integration isn't just about migrants. Also locals sometimes aren't integrated for whatever reason, because maybe they're disabled and don't have access to a part of the city, or maybe because they don't feel accepted because of their sexual orientation or whatever. So we try to get people also to really reflect on the topics, and we do it in hopefully a really accessible way and high quality productions. And then the videos are used in virtual exchange programs, in teacher trainings, and also in articles and blog posts and workshops, and they're for free for anyone to use online.
Okay, and these stories how do you select your topics, the topics you work with on migration matters?
Well, it's difficult. We have a list, a really long list of topics we would like to cover. Since we work usually in like a series format, we're busy with one topic usually for like half a year. So this migration and climate change topic recently, the year before that we did populism, the year before that we did nationalism. We often take topics that are kind of really current, like a few years ago nationalism was like the big word, last year populism, this year a lot of people are talking about climate change and migration. Obviously integration and diversity, 2016 and 17 after a lot of, after we had refugees coming, that, wasn't so much about welcoming anymore. It was more about what about integration. So we try to take the topics that are pretty current, but we don't see ourselves as news in this, like we don't react right away. We really go into depth with topics, but there are so many more topics that we could work on and would like to work on. But yeah, that's kind of how we work.
Okay, thank you, Sophia. We'll get back to you later on, okay? Thanks a lot. Back here, I focus the attention on my good friend, Anna Sabura. And as I said, you're a cultural activist and a curator. How has it been since you arrived in Germany? It's almost 5 years now, right, my friend? And 5 years experience. Has it been easy for you to kind of express yourself?
If you allow me to start even before this 5 years.
Okay.
Because since the revolution started in Syria, I was strongly involved politically and culturally also in the scene somehow. And I left Syria 2014 after it became impossible to stay there safely. Then I went to Turkey. I spent there 1 year trying to navigate my way there. It was also impossible because politically also the Turkish government have been used the Syrian topic as a card to negotiate with the European Union somehow. And after that, I fled Turkey again to arrive to Germany. And it's already 5 years because I arrived to Germany November 2015. Since the moment I arrived to Germany, things have been like kind of weird, evolve politically and also among of the migrant society somehow, because at some point people who fleeing their homeland because there is crisis there, no matter if it's war or whatever, they hoping to change their life to better life. And when they arrive here and they start to have this huge shock about system is not ready, as you mentioned, at some point you start to feel disappointed, and that drag people into depression and drag them into so many other complicated situations rather than just trying to be more open and try to establish a new life here somehow. So for me, since the very first moment I arrived here, I was noticing this chaotic situation. So I was trying to help as much as I could in that time. And that somehow led me to be part of the self-organized conference 2016, and then became part of Kamnagal team at some point, and also Migrant-Politan team also, trying to find our way, our method to create new ways of living together, new ways of understanding each other more, new ways of, or a new method of integration. Because for us, integration, it's absolutely, since the beginning, it was two ways. It's not one way. We, at some point, for me, I don't accept that somebody forced me to do something to be acceptable, because that was the main reason we started the revolution in Syria. So at some point, the system here tried to repeat what we experienced already during the revolution till now. So that's one of the reasons I was not accepting this kind of method the system tried to push us into. And that's how at some point we working here in Kamnagal Migrant-Politan platform to try to create new understanding, new accepting.
What is that? What is that Migrant-Politan? What is it?
Migrant-Politan, it's, let's say, special place, open platform to have new arrivals from all over the world, no matter their background or why they left their country, because for us what it matters is what they want to do. How we, together, we can create what helpful for them. So since 2016, I'm part of the Migrant-Politan team, and we're trying to create this kind of open space to give people who are locked in camps, they don't have accessibility to cultural life or social life as it should be, to give them this platform to connect, to create network, to find out what they would like to do, what they want to do, and how we, or how they could do it, either with or without help, depending on what they want. And through the years, we did lots of projects focusing on this direction, new media socialism, and all the projects under this umbrella as new media socialism was part of this vision somehow. And lots of other projects easily, like we have also Facebook page, people can check it out. Also, there's lots of information on Kamnagal website about Migrant-Politan and so on. Yeah, so.
Okay, so in a nutshell, you've given us a brief of how you've been coping since you arrived over 5 years ago. That's a wealth of experience. Anas, thanks a lot. I'll get back to you later on with critical issue questions. Now I focus on Mula Gracio Manalo.
Yes.
All the way from Indonesia.
Well, long time ago.
Yeah. How are you, Pak? Good?
Yeah, terima kasih. Selamat sore.
I lost my name. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your project.
Yeah, I will do it not in Indonesian language, but in English. I'm Muller. It's a fate that my first name is the standard German family name, Müller. It's because my father is fan von Gerd Müller, but then it's a good way for me also to start communication with the German people here in Germany. It's like a nice thing to do. And I've been living here in Germany for 20 years now. And basically it was only like 6 months experience for exchange study, but somehow I stuck here. It's okay. It's my new Heimat already, my new home. And then the last years, I've been doing more and more with the music, and then also it's some kind of like very interesting coincidence, I would say, because we all know in Germany, as the other speakers, Judith and Anna's already told us, the 2015 is this year where our mother, Angela Merkel, opens the border and then let people come in as new neighbors, as they say, neue Nachbar. And it's also happened that in the 3 buildings next to where I live here in Hamburg, it's also like a new home for the family from the refugees. And then a girlfriend of mine is immediately active in taking care of the children there. And then she asked me to get my keyboard, so to like do some music with the children on Sundays. And it's already like 2015, 16, and I start playing music with them. And then somehow then there are so many musicians coming from Syrian. Later I found out why. Anna has already also told me why, because it's usually we artists are the first group of people protesting to the government. It's also, for me in Indonesia, it's the same. So, like, the artists are usually the first to get caught, sent to prison or whatever. It should be the first person also running away from the country. So, so that's also the nice thing, because with music, you can communicate to each other. So it's, I mean, in 2016 and 17, like the new neighbors are still struggling with the German language, which I know from myself is also very difficult. So, but
Tell me something.
Yeah, but it's a good thing that music unites people. That's what the one thing that I can say.
Thank you, Mullah. You've heard it from the musician. Music unites people. Now, thanks, Mullah. I'll get back to you later on. Nima, are you ready for horse? Niyama Jadama is a Gambian journalist living and working here in Berlin. Alex Berlin Open Canal. So, Nima, do you feel represented? Is your voice being represented since you've arrived in Germany? How many years have you been here now? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been here and how your voice has been heard, whether it's been heard or not? Tell us a little bit about it. We can't hear you. Hold on, Nima. Is it from you or from us?
Okay, now you can hear me. Sorry, now my audio was sheltered, but now it's on.
Okay, tell us your story.
Well, actually, like I said, I think you had already introduced me. I am Nima from the Gambia, and I am here like almost now 5 years, few months. And I'm a journalist, so I now partly work with Alex Berlin as a producer and presenter, apart from my normal job that I do. So the issue of if my voice is actually represented or not, so it actually depends. Because, and this is one of the reasons that actually motivates me to, after my voluntariat with Alex, to actually produce my own show, so that I will give voice to my fellow migrants, to share their stories, to create more diversity in the media. Because, I mean, if you look at it, especially in the mainstream media, diversity is still an issue, even though they said, okay, diversity is in the media, migrants are well represented. I feel that I am not that much represented. Like I said, this is one of the objectives. That's why I said I'm gonna do my own talk show. And I felt that my voice, for example, or migrants is actually being represented if there is breaking news, if a migrant did something wrong, if there is a terror attack, if there is a rape issue, if there is Bulgaria and so on, then this is a breaking news. This is headline. even though migrants' voices are represented. But to me, I feel like it is very lame, and more effort needs to be done on this. So on this issue, we might not be able to do much about it for our voices to be represented, because we will not be able to all the time walk into the media houses and say, okay, hey, here I am. I want my voice to be heard, especially if you're not doing anything. So as a migrant journalist coming to Germany with journalist experience, I actually tried to do my best despite the language barriers and the cultural differences, the experience differences, professional-wise and so on, to find a way in the German media. So I did this, fortunately, and I was actually living in Freiburg. I was working as a moderator and media pedagogic, media trainer, educator for that matter, in the radio. So from there, I got this voluntariat, 18 months, that I did with Alex Berlin of In the Canal, which is also a community media. So I did cross-media communications there for like 18 months. So during this process, I actually learned a lot. I learned that somehow our voices have been represented, but mostly it's like in a way of being selective. Selective in a sense like they actually focus on migrants that are perhaps well-talented or doing something like sort of portraits and so on. And like I said, if there are breaking news and so on. So for me, the issue of going deeper down to look on issues, for example, on the refugee camp, refugees and migrants that are living in refugee camps, that are psychologically not okay, that are depressed and so on. We have a lot to talk about, and issues like this are not being looked at by the mainstream media because they are in one way or the other not interested, or like the saying goes in English, he who feels it knows it. So the issue, so I felt like we have been a little bit less represented. So therefore we have to take the baton on our own. And fortunately, I am one of those that is actually giving voice to my fellow migrants. And so actually we're on post-production. It's not on, so it's called Nima's Bantaba. So Bantaba is actually a local name from my country or West Africa, Mandinka, where people, it's like a forum where people sit down and talk about or discuss about everything, mostly that is affecting the society. But then I'm like, I'm gonna have a focus, and actually my focus is on migration, women empowerment, and the cultural differences.
Okay,
so
hold on a second, Nima. So hold on a second on the women empowerment. I'll get back to you. You'll tell us more about it, okay? Let me focus the attention back here because you've spoken quite a lot and articulate enough. I'm quite impressed. We'll talk about that later on, Nima. Thanks a lot for joining me.
You're welcome.
I get back to Sophia in Berlin. Sophia is someone who grew up with a dual nationality. And I would like to ask her, basically, does she have any migratory story she would like to share? Because she's German, she's American, she studied in America and Germany. So do you have something to share with us on a positive note or on a knowledge note?
I was ready until you said on a positive note. No. I think my experience has been very positive because I'm very lucky and privileged to hold two very powerful passports in the US and in Germany. And usually when I talk about my citizenship, I emphasize that not everyone has that access, even if they're from one of those countries. So in the US, I have US citizenship because I was born there, because that's the citizenship policy there. And though Germany has recently changed their laws, at the time, you could only have German citizenship by having German blood, basically relatives. So even though I was born in the US, because my mom is German, she was able to apply for me and my sister to have citizenship. So we had it ever since we were babies. And it has afforded me a lot of privilege and access in my life. And when I moved to Germany 9 years ago, it was much easier for me than a lot of my friends and acquaintances here because, well, I didn't have to, get a visa, and I spoke the language because I heard it a lot growing up. And yeah, I think what's interesting for me in Germany is that I find I get asked a lot where I come from because of, again, I'm I am very privileged also because I'm white, but I do get asked a lot, you know, are you from Spain? Are you from Italy? Because of how I look. And I find that in Germany, the way people see belonging is still very much in a one-track way, like you are one thing. And with me, it's not only that I'm American and German, but my mom is half German, half Algerian. My dad is Jewish American. It's like a mix that I haven't come across often. And I think it's always very interesting, and sometimes it bothers me, sometimes I don't mind talking about it, but that people really assume a lot of the time here, I don't mean everyone, but oftentimes that you are one thing. And I hope that in, you know, also I work at this through my work, that Germany starts to expand their understanding of who belongs and what it means to be German. And I think there's a lot of work there still to be done.
Okay, thank you. But that's a lot. Algerian, Jewish, American, German. That's quite a pool. Thanks a lot for sharing a little bit about yourself with us. Now, I switched the topic now, guys, gentlemen, ladies. And as I'll start with you. In the piece that we watched, this series, I noticed a narrative of the guy trying to bring his wife here. That means family reunion. Can you share with us what's going on in that area? Because I'm quite not knowledgeable so much, because the laws have changed between 2015 and now. These laws have changed 2-3 times. So do you have an idea of what it takes to bring your family here?
If I call it a problem, the problem started since the moment the system were not able to cope with the amount of people who are arriving. Mm-hmm. In that aspect, at some point, when we applied for asylum here in Germany, there have been not enough information distributed, which means when we had our interview and afterward we received the recognition if we are refugee or under protection or whatever, the information didn't pass to us that if we want to do family reunion, we have only window of 3 months to apply for that. Huh. Otherwise, then we have to follow the other method, which is like you have to earn enough money, you have to rent enough space as a house to be able to bring your family. Mm-hmm. And there is also category of who is of your family member you are allowed to bring and who is not. Mm-hmm. So this information was not passed to us. Mm-hmm. This created chaos. Mm-hmm. The chaos that people at some point, after they received their recognition to stay and their residency here, so they wanted to proceed with the next step. Mm-hmm. Then after they figured out the information, the time is already done. So they couldn't bring their families. Mm. And this system, up till now, it's still applied, which means all people who fled and they left behind, for example, their wives or their children or whoever, they are not able to bring them yet because they are either not earning enough or they failed with some other conditions they have to get. So at some point they are not able to bring them. Recently, there is talk that at some point there is planning to change the rules somehow to make it a little bit softer or not. It's still not there. So people should follow this procedure. Mm-hmm. And as I said, like till now, nothing happened. So who were lucky enough to catch that window and apply, mm-hmm. he did.
Okay, that means eligibility is there and the procedure is also there. So there are some people who benefited during this
because somehow they got the information. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I think Amr, he's one of the examples, could be that he couldn't get the information in the right time, so he couldn't proceed with the steps that he had to take. So that's why he couldn't bring his wife here. Besides
but the
that,
system works.
If you don't disturb the...
In all fairness, the system works.
If you don't distribute the information correctly, I don't consider it that the system works. Sorry, to be honest.
That's your opinion. You don't agree that the system
That's my opinion, because it's not fair to treat people in a certain way if you don't give them the information before.
Yeah, but Anas, the information is there online.
But is it available for everybody?
Yeah,
people
everybody can access it.
No, wait. People who lived in camps, they had very limited access to internet. This one point.
Or they don't even know how to read or understand what is written there.
Exactly. Most of people who don't speak well English, the information is not always there in English.
Okay, I understand the sentiments around that.
The language.
Also.
Yeah,
I sorry, just wanted to elaborate on Amer. He got the subsidiäre Schutz, which is not asylum. And many Syrian people got subsidiäre Schutz. That means when the war
they are not eligible
is
for
over
it.
in Syria, they have to return. And they don't qualify for family reunification.
Okay.
So Amer has to earn a certain amount of money and has a full-time contract to be able. And otherwise, there is a lottery, and you can apply to it, and you can get a family reunification or not. But he never got an asylum.
Okay.
Sorry, just wanted to
That's
step
clear.
in.
No, that's clear.
I know
that's
that.
Clear.
But I think I think what Anas is saying here, some people got asylum, and in your beside or response, it's reading you have to do this in 3 months, which he said. It doesn't matter whether it's a subsidiary suit or it is an asylum. Some people have asylum, and in 3 months' time, you have to do this process. And after this 3 months, if this 3 months elapses, if you don't do this process, then this is where you do the normal procedure way. I think he is right, because if you look at it, sometimes after this beside of 3 months, maybe you don't even got your passport at hand, and then the 3 months elapses, and then this is where you go to normal procedure.
But for me, the issue...
So this has nothing to do with subsidiarity.
And to make it more funny, sorry to interrupt you, but to make it more funny even, people who got asylum, the conditions they have to match from the government, it's really ridiculous. Like at some point they ask people to have a valid passport from their country of origin. And most, at least I'm talking from perspective of Syrians, because I'm Syrian and I experienced all of that during lots of time so far. Most of people who fled the country, their passport is expired or got expired while they waiting to get the recognition, and they don't want to contact the embassy, the Syrian embassy.
Anas, let's be clear. If you have a refugee status, you are not allowed to carry a Syrian passport.
No, wait. It's on the PANF website. One of the conditions to apply for family reunion, you have to have your nationality passport with you.
Okay, so that means there's the communication between the rules and the system is not working then.
That's what I mentioned at the beginning of the system failure.
Yeah, there's a system failure there. So we get back. It's a heated issue because it's affecting a lot of migrants, and it's good we brought it up. Judith, I will get back to you. 5 years, 4 years, you've been working around migratory issues with your films and the platform New Media Socialism. Is there anything new that is coming up or that has come up in the past since you last did Hello Deutschland? Has there been a new production or is something coming up?
Yeah, we did a second series. It's called Ramadram. It's less documentary, it's more fictional, let's say soap opera series. We have also some people in the show from the last time, from Hello Deutschland, but also some new people we met after we did Hello Deutschland. Okay. Yeah, you can also see that on YouTube and also on the Kampnagel homepage. And we have another project, it's called the Justice Project. It will be a film we're in the middle of production now. So
Justice Project. What is that?
The Justice.
Give us a hint about it.
The Justice Project is formally a little bit different than the last things. It's one space where we film. It's a court room. And it will be also it's a fictional room, it's a fictional story, but with real life experience from the cast.
From the judicial.
And we have we have people from the Gambia, and we have people from Germany that will play the Germans also, that will play the system, like justice, the judicial system. Thank you.
So you want to critique the judicial system now? You want to raise awareness?
Actually, we would like to show. We would like to show the experiences of some people who got into the system and got into problems with the system, and try to make process. I don't know. Is it
protest?
Not protest. Process.
Process.
The court procedures, the
judicial proceedings.
The judicial proceedings, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And flip it around.
It's a little bit good. It's good to know, because a lot of people face a lot of court cases and judicial prosecution, and it's also good to bring awareness into that.
I think a lot of our protagonists have experiences with either police or have been to court because they did something or did something not, and ended up in this situation. Some of them had a lawyer, some of them did not have a lawyer, and I think it's.
We will get back to the during the general questioning. Mola, you've been working. You're from Indonesia. I think Indonesia is a Muslim country, right? Am I right? Or is it country?
Officially it's a republic,
it's a secular,
non-religion country, but it's because 95% of the population are Muslims, and we have 260 million people. It makes us more Muslim in Indonesia than all other Muslims elsewhere in the world.
Oh, that's good. It's good to know that.
Yeah, and I'm from Christian family anyway. So I'm used to being minorities.
Anyway. You've been working, I saw the Mirage Band, which comprises of Syrians, different people from different backgrounds, and also Toffee Hamburg also has something similar. How has the experience been working with this diverse background?
Yeah, it's a really terrific experience. It's me being an Indonesian in Germany is already interesting enough, but I always like this so-called intercultural communication and all this stuff, and you have like a real life experience. And thanks to the new Neighbours coming up to Germany, we managed to make a music band with 2 Syrian guys and 1 from Iran. And we have Mexican and Korean, German, and Hamburg, and Indian. So basically we are Hamburg multiculti. It's a really nice experience.
Melting pot of everything.
Yeah, totally.
Cocktail.
It's totally interesting.
Yeah.
You should make a film on it.
Yeah, I think you should. In all what we've said and done today, now we get to the general questioning now. You're free to answer or not. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. And as has answered on the family reunion thing. So the general question that I have that is open to everybody is, what are your thoughts on the current migration situation in Germany vis-a-vis racism, police brutality, and Islamophobia? What are your thoughts? You're free to express yourself on the Casbah. Do that. Who wants to start? Online
I'll be the last one to answer.
Nima, what are your thoughts on the
Ladies
current
first.
Migration situation in Germany vis-a-vis racism, police brutality, and Islamophobia?
Thank you. I think right now we are in the middle of a pandemic, and not a lot much is going on. Most especially on the issue of racism, deportations, and so on, because they're not deporting anyone. And I think Germany need to buckle up. There is a need of more efforts to be done, even though this anti-discriminatory law was passed during this Black Lives Matters on the issue of George Floyd. I think Germany was one of the first, if not the first European country that enacted this bill as a law. So the police are much more careful when it comes to racism, discrimination, or anti-Islamophobia, and then you name it. To analyze it, I think it's a little much more better, but then, like I said, they still need to buckle up because there are lots of issues going on. So it might be a little bit difficult for me to actually predict it from early this year to the end of this year because of the pandemic that is going on. But recently, it has been really, really very bad. I had since my arrival, I had thought that the German police are one of the best. And I think I even wrote this on my status at once. And
Really?
The next day I got a screenshot from someone, look, you said the German police are nice, but look at what they are doing to migrants or Black people. So I was like, that was my experience. But speaking from other experiences, I think they haven't been nice enough and they have not been doing good job when it comes to the issue of racism and discrimination. People are treated based on their color. People are treated based on their religion and so on, not just with the police, but internally, diversity at workplaces. I had one personally, for example, was rejected 2 times for a job because of my religion, because of my veil, because I didn't fit in. So for me, that was like a big blow. I thought that Germany, even though I'm sure I know it's not a Muslim country, but when it comes to issue of diversity, human tolerance and so on, I thought they're so civilized in this. But then from my experience and many narratives that I actually come across, I think Germany need to do a lot more to get there, even though they're doing their best to be there.
Okay, Nima, Germany needs to do a lot more. Who else wants to chip in? Sophia, do you want to chip in? Anybody here on the podium?
Well, I can say something. If Sophia wants to say,
Sophia, you want to say something?
Ladies first.
I can speak later. Go ahead.
Okay.
No, ladies first. Oh, should I? Yeah. Well, just I think the idea is pretty much interesting. I would say, in general, it's really nice living in Germany as a migrant like myself. I cannot blame them culturally if some people really are racist. It's just the thing is, I have, in these 20 years being in Germany, have also being in a relationship with a German person, with different German persons, but so I know inside out about this. The thing is, people, like German people don't really realize it, that it's a racist thing to do because they were brought up in this situation, but it's not that actually it's our duty, my duty personally as a migrant to remind my fellow German old neighbors, to remind them nicely, then sorry, but that's actually racist. Please stop doing that, because it started from the jokes at school, at the university, in the sport clubs, in some German musicians, things like that. It's unfortunately it happens, still happening every day. We have this week from this German comedian Noor making jokes about things. Come on, it's already 2020. We should stop thinking, start being aware about this situation.
Sensitive about.
Yeah, this sensibility should start really soon. And I think that's one way that we can do I can do as an Indonesian German artist to remind them.
Okay, so Mola says we must continue to remind our friends that some actions or what they do are kind of racist. Okay, who else want to chip in?
I wouldn't say it's your duty. It's your duty primarily. I think it's the Germans' duty to jump in these situations if we see something like that. This everyday
that
racism,
nice.
Definitely. Something else I would like to say. Of course, we have a big problem right now in German police. We have a lot of Telegram groups where people police officers are openly racist and sharing racist things. And these are not just a few. These are many. And my wish is that the government really now is doing something against it and not blocking to examine this, because this is really important. And
Okay, good. Judith says the government should react to police racism. What about Islamophobia? Anybody wants to chip? Sophia?
Because I said I would be the last.
You have the mic.
Yeah, it's such a big question. I keep thinking about it, not only in the context of Germany, but in the US, because obviously my other home, racism and police brutality are big topics right now. I think that something that a lot of people need to learn is, people are really afraid of being called racist. And we have, whether you've grown up in Germany or the US, most of us grow up in racist systems. And we are influenced by the way that system has been set up, the way some of us benefit from it, the way certain groups are portrayed in the media, the way certain people who look a certain way teach you a certain part of your history and not another part of your history. So I really hope that people start to not just think of racism as, okay, I'm nice to Nima, I'm not a racist because I'm nice to her even though she's not white. That's not the only part of being racist. If you're complicit in a system that subjugates people, that gives certain people opportunities and other people not, whether that's subtle or direct, that is, you're living in a racist system and you're complicit with it. And when it comes to Islamophobia, I think that's, for me, with Germany, it feels when we produced our series on nationalism a couple of years ago for Migration Matters, one of our experts, she said that, nationalism comes not just from how we identify ourselves as a nation, but we need a significant other in order to posit ourselves against and say we are not that, and that is where our identity comes from. And she said in Europe right now, it used to be communism was the significant other, and now it's Islam. And we have decided that, or people in certain European countries have decided that Islam is not a part of our identity. And I think a lot of times when people talk about migration in Germany too, they're talking about Muslims and they're talking about people who were born and grew up in Germany, which is, I think, something that goes back to what I said earlier about kind of how people in Germany look at who belongs and who doesn't, not just based on what their citizenship is or if they speak the language, but if they still wear a headscarf, is that what it means to be integrated or not in Germany, or the debate about teachers being able to wear headscarves, which has been a big one in recent years, or Islam as religious, something to learn in schools, in Religionunterricht.
Okay.
So I'm starting to ramble, yes. Cut me off, but I just...
Sorry, Sophia, time is not on our side.
Sure.
We have two more speakers to chip in. Anas Abura, can you take it out?
Yeah. It's for me, it's too many layers, but all goes in the same way that we need to address. First of all, it's not certain group responsibility. It's our responsibility all. So we share the whole responsibility how to address, how to stand up, how to fight, how to open people's mind about how we can live together, regardless our backgrounds, regardless our color, our nation, whatever. Because we live together here. Most of us is, let's put it in this way, like very engaged in the society, doing lots of things, working, earning their money, and so on. So somehow we build, all together, we build the society together. So as it's the right for people who hold the German citizenship to discuss the politics, also it's our right as migrants to discuss the politics, especially when it's related to us. So it's also a huge responsibility for the government to address all these points and to be encouraged enough to say that we do mistakes and we need to correct these mistakes, like police racism. This huge point that government need to really to address it, and very soon. Otherwise, we will still suffer from this issue. Also, Islamophobia. We need to create platforms to create awareness about this issue. Visa. We need to address this issue because it's related to too many factors. It's related to people who lives here, also who need to get their family coming here or bring his wife or whoever. We need to address this issue as well because it's not easy to stay here and my wife is living somewhere else and we are not able to meet unless I travel to third country and she travel to that country. So it's very complicated. It's huge responsibility for everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, Anas Abura. The final word from Dasha. Are you still here with us, Dasha Ramanova? The final word, whatever you want to chip in.
Yes, sorry, I am with you. I'm still on the street, so it's kind of dark.
Okay.
No, I do agree. We have all a massive responsibility from media to children education, to school, to politics. And mainly we need to be always in solidarity with people, standing in solidarity with people who are obviously the first victims, whether it's in Poland or in Germany or in Italy. Like the European atmosphere is not great for any kind of minority at the moment.
Okay.
If we're going kind of backwards,
right.
and I think we all need to work more.
Okay, let us be optimistic. We are shifting back to the middle and left. So Trump is gone. Things will get back
but
to...
we still have right.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Nadia Biladi, Bettina Kolb, Dasha Romanova, Anas Abura, Mula, Judith, and everybody that partook, Nima in Berlin. Thank you all for your participation.
Thank you so much,
in this
Mr.
new
Larry.
Neighbor project, and for being on the Casbah, on the Let's Get Critical. I think we have been able to convince you, but not confuse you, that we need to stand up for human rights and human dignity. Thank you. My name is Larry Macaulay, sending out. Peace and out. Thank you.
Peace. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.